Good morning. It's 9 o'clock. If you will, please take your cell phones, turn them to silent. And at this time, I'm going to ask Chief Deputy Ward Calhoun to have our prayer this morning, followed by our pledge.
Please stand. Father, first of all, we are thankful that we live in a country where we get to govern ourselves. Father, our country has a rich history. We ask that you would give us guidance to make sure that we leave a legacy for our children and grandchildren. Father, I ask this morning that you be with this board as they make decisions that affect the lives of thousands of people, and that those decisions will be ones that have been made out of wisdom and discernment. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief Deputy. I need approval of agenda, even date. Have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a second. All in favor? Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I need to amend my agenda. I'll just give you the item number, number 10 on my agenda. It reads, need approval to advance $27,000 from general fund to youth court support program, fund 027. That needs to read, need approval to advance $13,000 from general fund to youth court support program, fund 027. We had a $14,000 grant come in, so that'll decrease that.
Motion to amend?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Amended. All right. Takes us to number 5. Okay. Now I need approval of agenda, even date.
So moved. Second.
As amended. Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right.
You just need to vote.
We're ready to go?
You just need to vote.
All right. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. That'll take us to number 5. Approval of minutes dated June 3rd, 2019.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. I'm going to slide something real quick. Miss Morgan, if you'll meet me up at the podium, ma'am. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Morgan Marlowe, and I know Morgan through her folks, but I also know her through Debs, which is our local, what would you call it, a teen sorority? Community youth service. And I know Morgan has been an outstanding leader now. You've actually been president, right? Just finished that up, and I know you've done how many hours of community service? Around 260 service hours. So what's happening this morning is her grandfather, Mr. Raymond Grogan, sponsored her through MAS, Mississippi Association of Supervisors, and he put her up for a scholarship, and she has been awarded a $500 scholarship. So I'm going to give this to you. That's your check. All right. So, and look at Miss Christie. She's going to take a picture for it. All right. And I also have a certificate of recognition presented to Miss Morgan Elizabeth Marlowe, 2019 recipient of MAS County Employee Scholarship awarded by the Mississippi Association of Supervisors and the Lauderdale County Board of Supervisors, awarded this 20th day, May 2019, and it's signed by me, your board president. And Ms. Morgan, I'll give that to you as well. All right? I'll tell you what, I'm going to fold it up, do it like that. All right, let's get one more picture with Christy. All right. All right, good deal. Thank you for coming in, and we're proud of you. So, look, I talked about all your service hours, but let's talk about how smart you are. So, because I also know that you have an outstanding GPA and an ACT score, so just tell everybody what you have. You want to step up here? Just tell them what you got. I know you're used to public speaking. I saw you do it Saturday.
Yes, sir. Well, as far as ACT goes, I have a 29. And GPA, what was it like? 4.37, I believe.
That's good.
That's pretty impressive.
So anyway,
We're proud of you. I know your mom, I know your dad. Who'd you get all those smarts from? Say both. Say both. Okay, all right, good deal. Congratulations, thank you for coming in. Ms. Raymond, thank you for sponsoring your service. All right. All right. Thank you, folks, for allowing us to do that real quick. That will take us to number 6, Miss Leslie Payne from the Care Lodge.
Well, good morning. Once again, I am before this illustrious board, and I appreciate your time. It is time for Care Lodge Domestic Violence Shelter to apply for the Emergency Solutions Grant. This is a grant that is actually HUD money that comes through Mississippi Home Corps. And according to one of the requirements of HUD, we have to get permission from local units of government to apply for this funding. So I am before the Board of Supervisors to get your permission to apply for funding. This is a grant that Care Lodge has had for the last, 25 plus years. And it is a grant that pays for operations and maintenance, and it also has some homeless prevention money in it. Right now, it's a one-year grant, and we apply for it each year. And like I said, it pays for operations and maintenance. We're about 9 months into this funding cycle, and we are already out of operations and maintenance money, which means for the next 3 months, we're going to be paying for all of our operations and maintenance out of what we call our reserve account, which is Care Lodge's money. That's why when we get support from the Board of Supervisors that I was before you a couple of weeks ago is so important. When we run out of grant money, local money is so important. But anyway, I am here. I have a form for the board to sign. I did not bring the grant application with me because we were at an application workshop last week. The grant is due June the 28th. So we had about a 3-week turnaround period. But this is something that, we've been before you many, many years to ask for this. I can bring the grant application back to you. I can bring last year's grant, but it is just, it's almost a technicality or first formality that I'm here to you. And I would ask that Jonathan, as board president, I usually type in the name and title, but sometimes when I type that in, sometimes the president is not here and you have to scratch things out and reword it or whatever, or I have to come back. But on that top line, Jonathan, if you could just print your name and that you're president of the board, and then down at the bottom, that just sign it by Jonathan Wells and print your name and print that you're board president. I will be out of your hair.
Do we need to approve?
Motion?
Yes,
So moved.
yes.
So-
Need a motion to authorize the execution of a local government certification form relative to the Care Lodge Domestic Violence Shelter.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Todd. Second by Mr. Rutledge. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, so
We'll get filled out right after the meeting, get that back to you.
Okay, thank you. And this year, we're asking for $140,000. Last year, we asked for $140,000, and we were awarded $133,365,000. So I will come back, or I can call and pick it up this afternoon, because we'll take it to Jackson probably sometime next week. So thank you so much for your time, and please call me if you have any questions. But thank y'all so much for your time.
thank you, ma'am. All right, that will take us to number 7, and I don't think Sheriff Solly's with us. It's going to be Chief Deputy Ward Calhoun.
Morning again, gentlemen. On our agenda, first is personnel issues as normal. First thing for your consideration is a request to surplus a Glock model 45 9mm, serial number BLD682, for the purchase by Joseph White, who is retiring as of, well, it's actually effective this past Friday. Mississippi Code 45-9-141 allows the board to surplus his duty weapon, sell it to him for $1.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Number 3, Marissa Combs will be attending the Accreditation Manager's Summer Training in Biloxi, June 26th, 27th this year. The lodging $225.79 per diem, the amount of $82. Cost this training to be paid for out of our budget.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Number 4, Carl Clark will be attending the Comprehensive Officer Resiliency, that's a hard word for me. That R word is on your agenda. Train the Trainer program in Ridgeland, September 16th through the 18th of this year. Registration $175. Cost of this training to be paid for out of our budget.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
That's all we have unless the board has any questions.
Anything for Chief Deputy? All right, thank you, sir. All right, that will take us to our staff reports, and we'll start with Ms. Carolyn Mooney, our Chancery Clerk.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
My first item I would like to submit for inclusion in the minutes the public notice advising of the time of this meeting pursuant to section 2541.13 Mississippi Code of 1972. My next item, I need board approval for the second claims docket for the month of June and authorize the clerk to issue the warrants.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
My next item, I need board approval to include into the minutes certification from Sheriff Solly that 16,505 meals were served in the Lauderdale County Detention Facility during the month of May, and to authorize the board president to sign the necessary paperwork.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And Mr. President, that concludes my agenda.
All right, thank you, ma'am. That will take us to Mr. Chris Lafferty, our County Administrator.
Good morning, Mr. President, Board. You'll see mine is fairly lengthy, but it's the transfer season, so most of these are just our normal transfers. My first item, I need approval to discontinue Harris Computer Time Clock Plus as a means of employee time tracking and return to paper documentation.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval for Paul Early to attend the 2019 Mississippi Justice Court Judges Association Summer Convention, July 14th through 18th in Biloxi. Travel includes registration, hotel per diem.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval for Lynette McDonald from Drug Court to attend the NADCP Annual Conference, July 13th through 17th in Washington, D.C. Travel includes registration, membership, hotel per diem, airfare, and taxi.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval for Kenneth Rowell from E911 to attend the Advanced Supervisors Training Class, August the 8th through 9th in Philadelphia. Travel includes registration, hotel per diem, and travel in county meeting.
So moved. Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
I need approval of the following inventory list per Kim Poe, inventory clerk, the inventory removals that were sold at Deanco auction. They just need to be removed.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval to transfer $4,494.38 from Hope 6 Fund 155 to Road Fund 150 and close Fund 155.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, need approval to transfer $24.84 from Homeland Security Grant to the Sheriff's Office Capital Asset Fund and close Fund 30, which is the Homeland Security Grant.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, need approval to transfer $52.40 from Citizens Court Grant Fund 041 to Lima Oil Spill Recovery Fund 120 and Closed Fund 04.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, need approval to transfer $8,550 from Bond Fund 383 to General Fund to reimburse for engineering fees that should have been paid out of the bond.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Number 10, I need approval to advance $13,000 from General Fund to Youth Court Support Program Fund. This advance will be paid back when the rest of the grants were received. That's the one I just amended from 2730.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval to transfer $48,800 from tourism to Aggie Center.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval to transfer $4,588.82 from the general fund to the occupant protection grant fund.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval to transfer $5,627.36 from the general fund to the DUI grant fund.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval to transfer $50,000 from the tourism fund to Mississippi Arts and Entertainment as budgeted.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval to transfer $12,374.89 from the Emergency Watershed Protection Grant to Road Fund 150 to reimburse materials used on the B Street project.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval to transfer $2,415 from the Emergency Watershed Protection Grant to the Bridge Fund to reimburse for the materials used on that same B Street project.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval to accept the lowest and best quote of Johnny Williams Construction for painting at DHS in the amount of $6,850. You see the two quotes there.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
This next one requires a little bit of an explanation. This came in late Friday. I'll read through it and then answer as needed. 18, need to include in the minutes an emergency purchase of one HVAC unit for the E911 building as defined in the Mississippi Code that's listed, executed in accordance with Mississippi purchase laws. Lauderdale County Board of Supervisors President, County Administrator, Maintenance Department has determined that emergency exists in regard to the repair and given opportunity for competitive bidding would be detrimental to the interests of Lauderdale County. Emergency repair of approximately $75,000 will be completed. So one of the HVACs in that building went out, and it is the one that services E911. The unit is a 1982 model unit, and we've had some a couple compressors go out in it, and it's just time to replace the whole entire unit. Typically, this would not be an emergency purchase because we have the ability to move people to other offices. I called the State Audit Department Friday afternoon, and they agreed with me that this would be an emergency purchase because of all the sensitive equipment. You can't pick those terminals up and move those to another location. So that's why we're doing this as an emergency purchase, whereas other ones in the past we haven't been able to, and in the future we won't be able to do. I don't know a lead time. They are working on minimum AC now. There's a couple stage 2, 3, whatever compressors that are working, but those are gonna go out any day now, so we need to get this thing going.
Mr. Brown,
Yes, sir.
question.
Yes, sir.
Did we pick up the whole bill, or did the city volunteer to help us pay for it?
Oh, that's,
It's kind of problem.
we own the building.
Okay.
So any help from the city would come through their interlocal agreement that they have signed.
All right. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Number 19, I need approval to modify our current records request policy to include submission of requests in person or by email at records@lauderdalecounty.org. And in addition, all email communication concerning those records requests will only be responded to through that email. That comes as we've been inundated with records requests over the weekends and at night, and this gives us the opportunity to better control our work.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion?
And this is all with the court, with the agreement with the Ethics Commission
right.
and all, all that stuff follows their rules.
It actually comes as their suggestion.
Okay.
That's permissible thing to do for, as a matter of policy to help manage, records requests.
It gives them all, it's a great idea because it segregates them all to one area. It comes to my desktop and to Kristen's desktop instead of straight to me or straight to her. So that's going to help us really manage those a whole lot better. Obviously, the preferred way is to bring them in paper copy, but I also understand the email is better fitting for a lot of people. It's going to make us.
So moved. All right, now.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval to modify the current records request policy with the following changes. The first one here is DVD price to the actual cost of production and a copy machine copies of 15 cents. And historically, the DVD price has been $25, and obviously it does not cost us $25 to produce these, and we can't make money on. We can only charge what it actually costs. So this is just kind of tidying that up just for our benefit. And the copy machines are 15 cents. They were 25 cents because of the cost of technology. Those prices are coming down. So
Those are the prices on the old form, and the county had charged those prices at some time. This is bringing the form up to date to what your current practice. So 15 cents has been charged for paper copies for a while, and I can't remember, charged $25. Actually charged $25 for a DVD.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Do you know what the DVD price will be? Or is that just sort of like a going rate at that time?
that's
sort
exactly
of something
right.
changes?
The $25, I'm sure 15 years ago was probably accurate, but now we can buy a stack of 100 for $25. And then whatever that cost of that time is for the employee, for our IT to burn it, that just depends on how much data is on there. I think the last one that we did was about $6, counting DVD and his time. So
that's subject to change.
it is, and that's why I went with the actual cost of production instead of a set dollar.
I'm sorry, question. Who makes the DVD?
Chris made the DVDs up in the IT department.
Okay, I was just wondering when you say $6, I know it takes you a period of time to make a DVD.
Right. The cost of the DVD, I think I've got the breakdown, like $1 for the DVD and then $5 for him to burn it.
Okay. And so we not recouping the employee's time. We just saying the $5 for the tape.
No,
Most of the time.
you are recouping the employee's time. It's the time for the person that is lowest paid person capable of performing that service.
So they only making $5 an hour.
Well, it depends on how much time you're doing.
Okay.
So, how long it takes that person, it takes them 5 minutes to burn a DVD, and whatever their hourly rate is, then it's not a whole lot of money.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I wish we could charge like an hour minimum, but
And that's gonna vary until who's the actual person, it's gonna vary project.
And how much
project to that
information
person
they
will be.
want in CD.
And how many CDs they want, compressed files versus, well, like a one Word file.
I believe we had a motion and a second. We've had discussion. Is that right, Ms. Carolyn? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I need approval for the board president to execute documents for the solid waste assistant grant for the solid waste officer. This is that grant that we had applied for and was granted for the officer.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
My last item here came in Friday afternoon. I've got it discussed advertising of county resources for Jordan Bell's HOSA trip to Orlando, Florida, and I've attached that request there. This is the young man that went on a HOSA trip last year, a HOSA conference, and his mother's going as his chaperone. Total cost of the trip was $2,200, a little over, and he's requesting some type of sponsorship from the county this year.
I can add too, this is, last year, this is at Northeast High School, they had, this was in the Office Club, so the Office Club also sponsored this child. Is that last year they had a number of kids that were going, so they were all able to work together. This year, he's the only one qualified to go, so he's having to raise money, so.
So what did we give last year?
It's $200, and that's what she's asking for.
There's somebody from Southeast going too. I mean, he's not the only one in the county, but they didn't request.
Well, he's going out of state. What's our policy? We kind of said if they're going out of state, they're representing the area. Have we not agreed that we're going to?
Not out of state as long as they compete in something on a national level, no.
Okay. Right. That's right.
Usually they would have to be.
Well, he's asked for 200, and you got somebody from Southeast. Y'all help me work through this. Y'all want to sponsor this student loan since he asked. I wonder, through his fundraising, where he's at on his goal.
I never did get that answer.
I think the trip's coming up on the 18th, 22nd,
They leave tomorrow.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, she's gonna send someone to pick the chip up.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we do $200 as requested. I don't know how many, I know at least one, I don't know how many Southeast are going, I know one's going. I go to church with, he told me his daughter was going, but.
Here's the time, they can use it tomorrow.
You want to put that, he's bringing paperwork and we'll include him?
You want to split the 200? We're in the motion right now.
I guess we include her in it too, I guess. Do it for somebody else. And she'll furnish the paperwork.
What's the name?
Mackenzie Sherwood.
I'm in the motion and we stuck on that. That's contingent upon if the person get the paperwork here, we'll do the same thing.
I'll second it.
All right, have a motion and a second to amend. Any discussion? All in favor?
All right, so let me make sure that I've got this worded right. So we need approval to advertise for county resources for Jordan Bell and Mackenzie Shirley's HOSA trip to Orlando, Florida. For $200 each.
All right, help me out, Mr. Lawyer. Ready for a vote? Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right.
And Mr. President, that concludes my agenda.
Okay, that will take us to our board attorney, Mr. Lee Thacker.
Good morning, Mr. President, Board. I'd ask you first to consider a motion to ratify and approve fully executed amendment number 4 to the multi-year corrosion protection agreement. Of course, that's between Lauderdale County, Kemper County, State of Mississippi, and the United States of America.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Have a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And Mr. President, at the meeting, I'll ask you to consider the need for an executive session.
Thank you, sir.
So,
All right.
questions?
Any questions for board attorney?
That's the shortest legal agenda in the longest.
Okay. That takes us to number 9. At this time, we open the podium up for other matters for general good and welfare. That's where a member of the public has an opportunity to come up and speak before the board. They'll have 5 minutes. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to approach the board at this time?
I see Ms. Dancer back there. If we could have her to come, there's got to be election commissioner.
Okay.
So we had some discussion over the weekend.
So,
Yeah.
you know, Drew, you got to announce who you are and your address.
My name is Gloria Dancy. I am election commissioner for District 4. It was brought to my attention over the weekend that there is no air in the Frank Cochran Center. That is a precinct. And if you look, the law says we have to have air in all of our precincts now. Goes along with that habit. They didn't have air last year, and my poll workers almost had a stroke, heat stroke. It was too hot in that building with no air. So we got this election coming up in August, and if the city or whomever is not gonna fix that air, we got to have somewhere else to put those people. Mr. Norwood and I kind of talked about it, and if we cannot, the only other accessible building in that area is that garden center that now MCC owns.
Magnolia Garden.
Magnolia Garden Center. If we can't use that building, we're gonna have to put a trailer or something there. No one would want to work in the Frank Cochran Center in August without air.
Could the Boys and Girls Club do it? Because it's right there.
Well, the problem is our changing our location.
That's right.
When the election commissioners came to us back earlier in the year, and when we
that
approved
takes-
some polling place changes, what we were told was that we had to get everything done by a certain date to get all the notices out to the public to know where they're supposed to go. So that was a big concern, is that do we have time to get it done, to get notice to the public, or can there be some temporary repair that's made, to the current location? And I don't know the answer to that. And it's,
Okay.
and it's, of course, it's the City of Meridian building.
Right.
And we're gonna do, this is a statewide election that's gonna be taking place.
Even though it's right next door, would the garden center be okay?
Different locations.
Different locations.
I have a question. Well, I have a question. I know Homeland Security should have portable. Well, I know we have portable generators. I don't know whether that can fix if we had a portable trailer, as you call it, and you can roll those things inside because they've got a back roller door. This is a legal question I need Mr. Attorney's attention.
I'm sorry.
My question would be, if possible, if none of this is worked out, because this is the 11th hour right here, could we find a mobile trailer, like construction trailer or something, to put in there that has air? And you can put it inside Frank Cochran Center because it got roll-up doors and all of that. If we could put that in there and use that as a place for them to come in to vote, or would it okay to set it outside?
Potentially, if it's suitable for voting.
Right, it just need to be an open space with
You
some
got
tables.
ADA, you got to
Question,
look
Mr.
at.
Norwood. With a portable trailer, I don't know how big that box is there. Would a portable trailer be big enough to handle the voters there, or would it be a line all the way back down to the swimming pool?
No, since we have the DS200 machine now, we're never really crowded. They comes in, they vote, and they're out of there. They comes in, they vote. It just has to be, what they've told us, it has to be air in there, heat in there.
Right.
It has to be handicap accessible. So
We
we
understand.
might need a ramp where they will be able to
We
get
can
in.
get with our Homeland Security, Lima Director, Mr. Barrick, and he probably can help work us out. I know we gotta have something like that, and if not, I know the city have one as well.
Well, the problem is now is finding one that's ADA accessible, because those doors they're not that wide on those, any kind of trailer like that, unless it's specially built. They won't have an ADA door.
Well, bottom line is you got some due diligence to do to see if there's something you can do to make that building work.
Can we ask
Or
the
we
city
can
to
look.
fix that?
Sure. You can
I
also.
mean, I think that needs to be our first step, write a letter. I mean, coming from the election commissioner, because this is important. So, Does the letter need to come from the election commissioners?
Instead of the board?
Yeah. I mean, because it's,
That seems to be pressure than.
yeah, I mean, it's the, I mean, there's,
Well, the other thing too is, remember, you got a variety of factors you consider when doing an election. One is privacy.
Right.
You know, to give voter privacy versus people voting in close proximity to each other. That's something you always consider, you remember, when we're considering recommendation by the election commission, voter privacy is a big factor as well. Obviously, ADA is a huge factor. But we got some investigation we need to do. Obviously, you're not gonna make a decision today. You know what the solution is, but to see if we've got something to work to retrofit or to provide something temporary there to make that location work. We can explore within the law, see if we can change it to a nearby location. I don't know the answer to that, so I'm sitting here. The statutory process to change locations, so we have to have a notice to the public, we'll have to come in, talk, address you about potential polling place locations. We shouldn't have to go through that process, but that's something we'll run the ground as well. So we'll go to work on it.
Okay.
Well, we need to, it's only 7 weeks if
I know,
if
it's
I'm
an
running that
emergency,
through
that's
my
the
mind.
reason, that's the reason I'm here today. I can't ask those people to go in that building in August.
no, that's not.
Joe, can the three of us sit down? I've got an idea that I need to flesh out before I mention it, but I think that there's some other solutions out there that we might can look at doing at minimal cost.
Go with 10 up and over there.
Joe and I talked on Friday, one question was like swamp fans, which, okay, it's a fan, like has moisture, problem.
No.
Paper for
No,
voting is a problem.
we tried that, no,
before and everybody complained about the
fan
water.
that blows the mist out,
Yeah.
it wets the floor.
Right.
So that was a problem.
Well, you know, there's some, you can rent large AC units, and I know that part of that building can be cut off from, like the back is open enough to do it without using the big main hall. So there might be an option, because, you know, it's still in that same building, so there might be an option where we can find or borrow or a large air conditioning unit.
We'll work it out, Ms.
Well, let's sit, yeah, if we can, if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
some
we just
ideas out
need to have an assessment for the election, because we don't have time to change the voting.
But does, Lee, do you need to draft a letter for them to sign, or can they just draft one? 'Cause I think that needs to be the first thing we need to, so, or they may have a fix, they may be fixing to fix it next week.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, right.
I'm just trying to give them a little curtain. They may be, you know, but if we
Yeah,
can do
plan
that
on
first.
contacting, Kim Houston also, because that is a city precinct.
Because it's just as important to them as it is us.
Exactly.
So they may be, hopefully they're in the,
It's my understanding it's rented out for the Mississippi Picnic, and they've rented it out for other things, not telling them that there's no air in that building. There's no heat in that building either, in the wintertime. Yes.
Mississippi in summertime.
And there's also a lot of legal, or a lot of things that we can and can't do on other people's property too, so we gotta make sure. I think we got some good ideas.
Ms. Dancy, are you available after this meeting? Call you?
I'll be over there.
We'll give you a buzz. We'll
Okay.
call you when we
Okay,
have the meeting.
all right, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, as I look around, I don't see anyone else, but I'll make the plea once again for other matters of general good and welfare, if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to approach the board at this time.
Sure.
Okay, all right. I believe Mr. Thaggart could ask to consider the need for executive session.
An action for supervisors.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I'm jumping the gun. Action from supervisors. Mr. Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rush, I'd like for you to come forward and give the news meter and the supervisors an update on Knox Road, please.
Good morning. So currently Knox Road is shut down at two different places, one at the intersection of Lauderdale Tomb Super Road and the other at the intersection of Good Hope Knox. To through traffic only, you've got large barricades that state that on both sides of the road. and lots of signage in between. As well as Lauderdale Tomb Superside. You have to make a valid effort to go around or to ignore the signage that's in place, although it's been done. Right now, it seems to be working. They can no longer go east or go left from the construction site. They have to follow the route that we provided, which will keep the damage to a minimum and congested only to the west side of Knox Road. And also avoids a low-weight bridge there on the east side of the construction entrance. Plan on keeping it closed till probably around September when the project's estimated to be completed. And that's all I got.
We are in the process of, though, trying to remove some of the rocks that's been busted up for the people that have to travel that road, has to travel that road.
We, I'd say we're probably, I don't know, 30% done making repairs, temporary repairs to the areas that's been damaged already. They will be suitable to get us through this time period. We've reduced the speed on that entire road for that section to 25 miles per hour. So I feel happy with what we're doing.
Well, I want to thank you for taking care of the barricades and so forth. While I was out of town, it's a safety issue out there, and if we hadn't have done that, the bridge, as you say, we would have had to done it anyway because the bridge would have been caved in.
Most likely. There's a lot of traffic.
Thank you, Rush.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Mr. Todd?
We have several youth across the county going to different church camps. I know my daughter just left this morning, so I hope they get there safe and sound as all the other children go. I'd like to congratulate West Lauderdale varsity and junior varsity soccer team. They went to Laurel Saturday and got gold in the state games, soccer tournaments that they had in Laurel. They came back, the varsity and junior varsity both came back with gold. And I think we had a great conference, Mississippi Association conference this week. Learned a lot, learned some things that didn't know, and probably some things I shouldn't have known. But, it was a great meeting. I think we had a good time, and it gets better as the years are going on. They're really getting everything down to where it's beneficial for the county. That's it.
Mr. Norwood?
I just want to remind everyone, Wednesday's Juneteenth, and the city will be celebrating their Juneteenth festival this weekend.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rutledge?
The Chunky River cleanup is, due to the weather, a couple weeks ago, they moved it to Friday, June 21st at 8 a.m. Hope some of the board will join us. It'll be a good day on the river, and then also a good catfish lunch after that, and then recycling on June 29th, 9 to 1.
Yes, so Mr. Thacker, I was asked upstairs by the young ladies out at Sykes Park when we rented the cabin out. People not returning the key, and they want to put a deposit on there. Do we need to amend that agreement? Because, okay, just need to be.
You require a deposit key.
Yeah, deposit the key.
What's the cost of the key, mate?
I don't know, you probably get a key made for $2, $2.50, something like that.
Plus your labor.
Have them put your labor
Yeah,
utensils. Let's put a $10 deposit on it. Is that too much?
I say 40, and that
I've
way
been
they
having
make it come back.
Cause we put them on things that big, you can't do nothing but open the door and bring them back.
I'll put 40 or 50.
We don't have keys when other people come in and get them, and that way, they supposed to bring them back in today. May nothing to hear from people. They come back in Wednesday, Thursday with a key and we constantly making keys.
Well, and when we do that, if they're keeping the keys, are we having to change the lock? Are we having to change the?
No, we're not changing the lock.
Because we would have to buy locks by the cases.
I say $50, because it's $10, I mean, if I forget it, then I'll spend $10 in the store. So they're not really gonna wanna bring it back. You put $50 on it, they're gonna bring it back, because that key's not worth $50.
Isn't there a deposit on it already?
Well, there's a deposit for the cabin, but not for a key. The problem is they're not returning the keys. And, we've been monitoring to make sure people don't go back out of the deposit.
So just apply the deposit for the rent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, deposit is not, we need to make a separate key deposit. We got all this. Just need it. All right, we'll get with our IT people. Chris, you back there? Did you hear that? Yeah. Thank you very much. You got that work, guys. We'll be moving forward with that, because other than that, we got the keys.
But then somebody's going out there which, I mean, it's no big deal. Yeah. Unless you buy one that they can push from upstairs in the IT department.
We'll let them look at it and determine what's the best.
Recommendation.
Yeah.
Come up with a solution.
All right.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Todd mentioned the MES conference, and I just want to tell you congratulations on being vice president. I thought Mr. Rutledge was going to take me to the conference.
It's been a long week, yeah, I'm sorry.
But appreciate your leadership.
I'll definitely need y'all's support.
We got 2 years of us. Just got to get it done.
Okay. Any more comments? Okay. Accept the need to consider a motion for
So moved.
all right, executive. All right. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? You know, I think we just need the motion. All right, folks. All right. Mr. Taggart?
All right, the board did go into executive session, discuss several matters, the transaction of business, discussions, negotiations regarding the potential location of a business or industry in Lauderdale County, potential purchase or lease of real property, and a personnel matter pertaining to the road department, and no action was taken. Mr. President, before we adjourn, I do request the board consider a motion to amend the legal agenda to consider a motion to authorize a crossing agreement in substantial form with Silicon Ranch Corporation and SR Meridian 3 LLC, and also to consider a resolution authorizing the purchase of real property from Meridian Marketplace LLC.
Motion to amend.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Agenda amended.
This time, Mr. President, I ask you to consider a motion to authorize the execution and entry of a crossing agreement in substantial form with Silicon Ranch Corporation and SR Meridian 3 LLC.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And next, Mr. President, I ask you to consider a resolution authorizing the purchase of real property from Meridian Marketplace LLC.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, Mr. President, let's leave you to second question.
Okay. Anything for Mr. Thacker? All right, gentlemen. If there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn until Monday, July 1st, 2019 at 9 a.m.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.